Please welcome United Way President and Chief Professional Officer, Kristen Jacoby.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the United Way of Greater Waterbury's 46th annual meeting. If you guys could just quiet down, we just really need to take your seats. All right, everybody, please settle down. We have a lot to cover this morning. We really do have an informative and exciting presentation for you, and we really need to get started. Thank you. Take a seat. Thanks. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I thought we'd just start off a little fun this morning. The reality is there is no one in the audience to cheer or applaud in the room this morning, but we do have plenty to celebrate. I'm here with a very small video crew at Power Station Events, along with my fellow presenters. Jayne Kelly of Ion Bank, who will present on our finances, Kara Suma, Office of the Corporation Counsel, City of Waterbury, who's actually completing her term as board chair, and Nancy Traver of Traver IDC, who is stepping into that vital role. Together, we have a lot to share regarding the year behind and the road ahead. We would much rather be in the same room with you this morning, and we look forward to the time when we can once again. But that doesn't make today any less important. First, I want to thank our voting and board members who logged in prior to the meeting to conduct the business portion of today's meeting. Thank you for the important role you played today and every day to ensure we remain impactful, transparent, and efficient. When we reimagine traditional events like today, there is a lot of moving parts. Knowing that we have our corporate sponsors in our corner goes a really long way to making all of this possible. You saw their logos at the start of the meeting today. What an amazing group, and I cannot thank you all enough for your continued support. And thank you, a special thank you, to our impact partners in the audience today, along with our volunteers of the Community Impact Cabinet and Councils. Your expertise is truly the heart of everything we do. So today, we welcome and encourage your participation in today's virtual presentation. If you have a comment or a question during the meeting, just open the chat box feature in Zoom and post your comments. We promise we will respond. Looking back on the past year, I'm excited to share that when campaign chair Mike O'Connor of Webster Bank said, "Let's create the change," you all responded. Together, you helped us raise $4,173,000. Yes, $4,173,000 through the 2019 and 2020 campaign. The vital unrestricted dollars pledged to United Way are being leveraged by volunteer impact councils to support our impact areas of education, financial stability, and basic needs. This includes investing in 43 local programs, 23 partner agencies, and 16 community initiatives that are delivering on our strategies to build a stronger community. The Let's Create the Change campaign began before the world changed. We had no way of knowing how different life would become. The world flipped upside down, really. Mike O'Connor persisted. He worked hard to push through to the final weeks of our campaign to ensure the goal was met. Mike, we are indebted to you, and I thank you and your entire campaign leadership council for all of your efforts. One of the events we had to cancel this spring was the Community Leaders Dinner, where we would have celebrated the campaign appropriately along with the honorees of our 4 prestigious awards. We are so optimistic that we will be able to gather once again and pay tribute to the employees of Bantam Wesson and Traver IDC with the James C. Smith Spirit of Excellence Award, the Greater Waterbury Campership Fund with the Community Volunteer Year Award, Kathy K. Taylor, Naugatuck Valley Community College with the United Way Organized Labor Award, and Dr. Peter Jacoby with the Frederick and Lucy Kellogg Award. Please mark your calendars for the April 29, 2021. It is an understatement of the century to say that 2020 has been a challenging year. We have faced the most significant global health pandemic seen in the last 100 years, and the economic fallout in the U.S. and locally has been brutal. But the United Way's response to the suffering in our community has highlighted our unparalleled ability to execute world-class fundraising and impact on scale. Two factors stand out as we face this pandemic: the increased demand in services and how the community stepped up to meet that need. When we closed the office on March 16th to follow the guidelines set to slow the spread of COVID-19, we didn't realize what was ahead. Despite the uncertainty, staff set up an effective work-from-home model to coordinate safely with our partners, volunteers, local officials, and other United Ways to set up much-needed solutions. We did not miss a beat. We continue our vital day-to-day work while quickly ramping up our COVID response on several different fronts to raise money, support our partners, provide direct assistance to individuals and families. We worked with Mayor O'Leary and the city to put systems in place to meet the basic needs of those positive households to ensure that they could quarantine, providing food delivery, medication, cleaning supplies, diapers, and so much more. PAL collaborated to help get non-food items delivered, and LeBon's and ShopRite stepped up to support an innovative food response that continues to this day. In United Way and the Connecticut Community Foundation, we partnered to launch a COVID-19 response fund to support vital nonprofit organizations on the front lines. Kara will share so much more detail on that a little bit later in the program. Together, we have demonstrated that we can mobilize resources and act with agility to drive impact. But these circumstances also have highlighted that our healthcare, education, and economic systems are not all resilient and don't work evenly for everyone. When you combine the pandemic and the economic fallout with the racial ethnic awakening in the U.S., we find ourselves in the most disruptive period of our lifetimes. But with disruption comes opportunity. Again, disruptions, they equal opportunity, and I would argue our responsibility to reflect on all systems. Are they equitable? Are they designed to benefit all of us? Our vision at United Way is that everyone in every community succeeds. We must therefore reimagine and rebuild to effectively respond to the people's needs. The pandemic has been a catalyst for innovation and to do what is necessary to drive impact. All of this has highlighted how important a strong, nimble, and effective United Way is to our community. And I have to say, I could not be prouder of our United Way staff, the work we are doing, and the results we continue to deliver. I am so inspired by everyone of all ages stepping up to make a difference. When our traditional Stock the Pantry had to go virtual due to social distancing, our co-chairs, Mariah DePerna at Post University and Jennifer Carbonaro of Webster Bank, were not deterred. They delivered one of the most successful food drives ever. The emerging leaders, led by co-chair Alyssa Altman of Works and Brian Kimmey of the Palace Theater, joined in designing Stock the Pantry promotional materials and creating several social media videos to promote the effort. The result? Over $29,000 were raised and more than 9,000 meals provided. When the need for face masks increased, Upstarters saw the need and jumped into action, coming up with a plan and executing it to meet the growing demand. They also developed multiple other virtual volunteer opportunities, such as reading virtually to loved ones throughout the summer. I am so grateful that everyone wants to do their part, and I truly love that United Way is a vehicle that can bring this all together. Thank you again for your support. The one thing I know is that we cannot do this without you. We have a great program ahead of us. Kara will have more to share on our COVID-19 response, as well as some great highlights of the year that was. But now, I'd like to turn it over to Jayne Kelly of Ion Bank to present the United Way of Greater Waterbury's financial report.
Thank you, Kristen. As Kristen shared, it has been a challenging year, but thanks to the strength of our United Way, we were in a position to do what we do best: respond to the immediate needs of our community while working to deliver the long-term results that will help our neighbors in need achieve a brighter future. United Way of Greater Waterbury's Finance Committee, along with the Board of Directors, reviews and approves all financial statements monthly. The audited financials and IRS Form 990 are available for public access on our website. Once again, the United Way of Greater Waterbury has received a thumbs up from United Way worldwide for meeting all the expectations and standards required for membership. We have also earned our third consecutive 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. Only 25% of the charities evaluated have received at least 3 consecutive 4-star ratings, indicating that the United Way of Greater Waterbury outperforms most other charities in America. This exceptional designation from Charity Navigator sets United Way of Greater Waterbury apart from its peers and demonstrates to the public its trustworthiness. Total revenue per the 2020 audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020 was $4,160,000. 77% of our annual revenue comes from the United Way of Greater Waterbury's annual campaign. Other revenue sources include corporate sponsorship, investment income, direct program support, and administrative fees. Our allocations and designations include $3,965,000 that was raised and invested in nonprofit work to help others. Of that $3,965,000, 83% supported our United Way partner agencies or other United Ways. This was a 6% increase in money directed to support the United Way mission. The final collection rate for the last fiscal year was approximately 95%, which is consistent with prior years. We are trending ahead of the United Way worldwide national average of 93%. Regarding our cost ratio, 87.6% of every dollar raised is invested in programs and services that help people in need. 12.4% of contributions are spent on fundraising and management and general expenses. The average overhead rate for the United Way Worldwide Network is 14.1%, and the Better Business Bureau recommends 35% in overhead costs. United Way of Greater Waterbury also created a COVID-19 response fund in partnership with the Connecticut Community Foundation. United Way of Greater Waterbury and the Connecticut Community Foundation joined forces and distributed over $533,000 in grants for COVID-19 relief. The majority of the funds were spent on food assistance for families, PPE for nonprofits serving the community, and housing support to the homeless and low-income families. On behalf of Jack Worgan and the entire Finance Committee, we want to assure you that we are closely analyzing and reviewing the United Way of Greater Waterbury's monthly financials. We are tracking collection rates and expenses closely. We will continue to work with the Board of Directors to ensure all necessary steps are taken to provide the support needed in our communities now and in the future. Speaking of the Board of Directors, I'll be turning the program over in a minute to Attorney Kara J. Suma, who is completing her term as Board Chair, to share insights into the past year. But before I do, on behalf of the Finance Committee and the Board of Directors, I want to thank you, Kara, for your leadership throughout your term, especially your leadership spearheading our most recent strategic plan that could not have come at a better time and providing a steady hand through the current crisis. Thank you, and ladies and gentlemen, Kara Suma.
Thank you, Jayne, for those kind words, for presenting the finance report, and for all you and the Finance Committee do for our United Way. 2 years ago, I began my term as chair of the Board of Directors, and at that time, we, as an organization, began undertaking the planning for our current 3-year strategic plan. We began that new fiscal year of 2019, as many do, with self-reflection as an organization and planning for the future. Hundreds of volunteer hours go into this process. Throughout the planning process, invaluable input from the community, our partners, and staff is taken into consideration in developing the plan. The Board of Directors undertook this daunting process and worked to develop a strategic plan that we, as a board, believed would best serve the organization and hence the community going forward. Throughout this process, 2 concepts continually surfaced as focus points of the strategic plan and where we wanted to see the organization in the future. One concept being the need to be nimble and flexible in recognizing there are a lot of unknown factors in the future. At the time, mostly concerning technology and changing economic and business atmospheres. The second concept being to focus on and commit the organization to diversity, equity, and inclusion work and education for ourselves, and fully integrating and realizing this into all aspects of United Way, both internally as well as the work we do throughout the community. With these two concepts on the forefront, our strategic plan was developed. Little did we know then just how important these concepts would become, not only for United Way, but for our community and the entire world. Within this, every strategy and goal of our strategic plan focused on delivering our mission to mobilize our 10-town region, amplify its resources, and invest in approaches that advance equity and measurable outcomes. And that's what we carried on to do. The annual campaign launched in September of 2019 under Chair Mike O'Connor in front of an audience of almost 500 with incredible excitement and enthusiasm. A dynamic campaign theme, Let's Create the Change, created by Grant Copeland and Works, captured the imagination of the audience with its eye-catching hand-painted artwork. Our emerging leaders were in action, taking the lead on bed races, engaging in Read Across America, volunteering at food pantries, and more. Our Upstarters program continued to grow as more youth volunteers ages 10 to 17 took advantage of opportunities to lead volunteer efforts in their communities. Various Upstarter groups undertook a variety of volunteer activities, including holding fundraisers, collecting winter clothes and warming items for the homeless, creating t-shirt tote bags for use at our food pantries, and held a youth reading event at the library. We also launched our much-anticipated podcast, The Way Forward, hosted by Communication Advisory Council Chair Sat Largay. Each episode focused on one of the many aspects of United Way's work in the community, pulling back the curtain on how your dollars in volunteerism are creating change in the community. We continued to invest in proven, integrated strategies in the area of education, financial stability, and basic needs. And we continued to expand on that work through our Emerging Needs Fund, now known as the Community Needs Fund. This fund allows us to think outside the box as we identify and address gaps in services and needs in the community. Since 2010, we've awarded over $200,000 in responding to community needs, including everything from funding for a dental clinic, infant and toddler child care, homeless support, opioid crisis response, to food and rental assistance, and so much more. The Community Needs Fund exemplifies the realization of the need for comprehensive approaches to solving community, individual, and family needs. Nobody experiences problems in a vacuum or in neat identifiable categories. It is usually a combination of issues such as food insecurity, homelessness, lack of access to health care, child care concerns, under or unemployment, or educational challenges. In recognition of this, our comprehensive and multifaceted approaches seek to address barriers to independence and provide opportunities. This is an approach that is changing lives. Our organization was strong in executing on all fronts, and I could not have been prouder of the work of everyone on the United Way team, or so I thought. Then the pandemic hit. Life as we know it changed in March of this year, and we all experienced what it meant to kick things into high gear because we knew we were the organization that would be able to serve as a convener, stronghold, and central contact point to help administer and execute the immense, unforeseen, and unknown work that would need to be done to help our community through this. And I really couldn't be prouder of the United Way team. I've been awestruck by how well our strategies, programs, initiatives, and our staff have responded to the sudden and significant demands of the pandemic. We've been able to ramp up effective responses while maintaining our work across all three impact areas. Perhaps it was somewhat foreshadowing the Board of Director discussions about building an overarching flexibility into our strategic plan. But being flexible took on a whole new meaning, one that no one could have foreseen. Without missing a beat, the entire staff shifted to working remotely on March 16th for their safety and continued to deliver on all fronts. No one was put on hold or asked to wait while we got our act together. It was already done. We kept moving forward in the work that we do. United Way of Greater Waterbury was there to help when help was needed. United Way collaborated with the Connecticut Community Foundation to start a COVID relief fund, and to date raised and allocated over $500,000 in grants so that community-based organizations at the front lines of the coronavirus outbreak can continue to serve the community. United Way partnered with Mayor O'Leary in the city of Waterbury to enhance the response, directing help to individuals that tested positive for COVID-19 and those who were ill and facing financial hardship. Staff even personally delivered diapers and other items to a family who had nowhere else to turn when they couldn't leave their home because they were quarantined. We joined with United Ways across the state to ensure those who had lost jobs and wages during the lockdown had immediate funds. This effort meant 249 families in the Greater Waterbury area received mobile wallet cards for $200 that could be used for medicine, food, utilities, and transportation. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Program, or VITA, which was already underway, shut down its physical sites and went virtual, including online and drive-through locations. 44 volunteers helped prepare 1,156 returns, providing over $1.9 million in federal funds, dollars that were critical to households who were already on the edge and enabled them to meet their basic needs. Every step of the way, we continued to be there with our partner agencies on the front lines, listening, responding, and convening in order to increase capacity and keep ahead of the shifting needs of a constantly changing situation. When families and individuals who are already struggling are now faced with a health crisis, quarantining, or loss of employment, the problems they face, which may include domestic violence, hunger, or mental illness, only multiply. The importance of United Way and the work we do with our partner agencies cannot be underestimated. This is the front line, changing lives and providing the hope that is needed. I cannot begin to describe to you what we see when someone realizes that hope is still there. But I can tell you, it has been an honor of my life and means the world to me to even be a small part of that organization that provides that hope. Mobilizing resources, convening partners, creating immediate impact. That is the work of our United Way. Every single one of you who donate provides services on the front lines, and volunteer plays a critical role. And after these last 2 years, particularly this last year, I have never, ever been prouder of our United Way team. I want to thank every one of you involved in all our work, and this year especially in our response to the COVID crisis. On top of the work that we do, this was far above and beyond. We could not do what we do without you. United Way is truly needed now more than ever. We are essential. As mentioned earlier, my term as board chair has come to a close. I have probably already said enough, but would truly like to thank the amazing United Way staff. You are the heart of this organization. To my past, present, and future fellow board members, thank you for your dedication, leadership, and integrity. It has been a challenging and rewarding 2 years, and I am and will always be humbled and honored to have served as chair, and I hope I served it well. So as chair, I bid farewell. But we are in good hands going forward. I'd like to introduce to you our new board chair, Nancy Traver of Traver IDC. Nancy is no stranger to United Way, with Traver IDC employees and leadership consistently running a top 25 best practice campaign, as is demonstrated by their James C. Smith Spirit of Excellence recognition this year, along with volunteering at every opportunity. In addition to serving on the board of directors as first vice chair and governance chair, she has also been a long-time volunteer and supporter of United Way. I am very proud to introduce to you our new board chair, Nancy Traver.
Thank you, Kara, for that introduction and for your service. As Jayne mentioned, your leadership through our recent strategic planning process, along with your steady hand as we entered uncharted territory during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, is something we cannot thank you enough for. The organization is on solid footing thanks to your efforts, and on behalf of the staff and the board, thank you so much. As Kara mentioned, we recently completed our strategic plan, which is our roadmap for the future. And as unsettling as the current times are, we must keep looking forward to deliver on United Way's promise to our community. On Labor Day, the Connecticut United Ways released our third edition of the United Way ALICE report. ALICE, an acronym for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed, represents the growing number of households in Connecticut with earnings above the federal poverty level, but below a basic cost of living threshold. In Connecticut, 27% of households are ALICE households. In Greater Waterbury, that number is 31%. Add in the poverty number, and it jumps to 44%. Take it one step further and isolate Waterbury, and the number is 65%, or over 40,000 households. And that is before the pandemic. Despite working hard, these households live paycheck to paycheck and are unable to afford life's most basic necessities, such as housing, food, childcare, transportation, technology, and health care. The 2020 ALICE report digs deeper into trends that affect ALICE in the workplace, impacting ALICE's ability to save, to build assets, and achieve financial security. The report also shows racial and ethnic disparities and hardship are growing. Black and Hispanic households have a disproportionately high percentage of families below the ALICE threshold, at 57% of Black households and 63% of Hispanic households in Connecticut living below the ALICE threshold. With release of the 2020 ALICE report, we continue to call attention to ALICE households by identifying barriers preventing ALICE from making ends meet, and by executing solutions that can lead to financial security for ALICE. We remain committed to supporting ALICE. We invest in childcare and early learning, basic needs, diverse housing options, job training, asset development, and financial education. We advocate for good jobs, fair wages, access to good schools, affordable housing, and quality childcare that families can afford. And we stand ready to help ALICE households when disaster strikes. But this work takes funding, which brings me to this year's annual campaign. We are so fortunate to have John Hopkins, CEO and President of Post University, as our campaign chair, and Karen Hines, CEO of Workplace Success Group, as vice chair. And Grant Copeland and Works have delivered another winning campaign theme in Be the Reason. This is a campaign like no other and is more important than ever. With very limited in-person access to companies for workplace campaigns, we've been utilizing every other tool at our disposal and have implemented several new strategies. Karen Hines brought her professional skills to the table, hosting 2 interactive virtual campaign leader trainings to help those leading workplace campaigns to connect with each other and to share successful strategies. Thanks to Works, a custom campaign landing page template was developed that can be customized internally by United Way for companies where in-person access is prohibited. This contains a custom message and highlights specific to that company to help engage and inspire campaign participation. Targeted e-newsletters are being sent weekly to all campaign leaders containing campaign tips, success stories, and more to share in their internal campaigns. We've conducted dozens of campaign presentations by Zoom and have an option for everyone to give, from our e-pledge system to our website to a printed pledge form. Our Leavenworth Society Task Force is reaching out in new and innovative ways to engage leadership donors with videos and more. And we are a constant presence on social media. It's all hands on deck, and I hope you will consider giving what you can this campaign. The only reason we have been able to respond to the current crisis so quickly and decisively is because of the strength of campaigns past. That makes this one even more critical. Another effort that you can help with immediately is the need for food this holiday season through our annual Joy of Sharing initiative. And we won't be able to collect turkeys and food in person. We are asking everyone to donate what they can by texting pantry to 30306. It's a quick way to make an immediate impact. In closing, I hope you will take the time to read our annual report, where you will learn more about our work and those that make it happen. You can find the link on our website at unitedwaygw.org. And on behalf of Kristen, Jayne, and Kara, thank you for joining us for our 46th annual meeting, and thank you for being the reason that when people turn to United Way for help, United Way is there to respond. Thank you so much.